Good morning.
They used to call this Homecoming Sunday because Unitarian churches were closed for the summer. And that hasn't been the case for a long time here, but we still like to play songs about home. Here's one.
Everyone on earth has things they need, things that they cannot do without. When they're old enough to chase their dreams, they pack their childhood up and they set out to find a trade on which they can survive. Four walls, a roof, a door to call their own. And as the seasons pass, they laugh and cry and learn what it's like to live alone. But when they need someone to talk to about anything at all, someone who will catch them when they're just about to fall, someone who will listen and then listen when they're gone. When they need someone to love them, they go home. They're searching for some meaning in their life. They look around for something that will last. And they find it in a husband or a wife, and so begin to recreate the past. Their babies learn to walk and then to run. Soon they think they're ready for the world. There's no way you can stop what you've begun. Just give them love, someday they will return. When they need someone to talk to about anything at all, someone who will catch them when they're just about to fall, someone who will listen and then listen when they're gone. When they need someone to love them, they go home. Home, no matter how the world keeps changing, you show up at the door, you know that it's still yours. And when I need someone to talk to about anything at all, someone who will catch me when I'm just about to fall, someone who will listen and then miss me when I'm gone. When I need someone to love me, I go home. When I need someone to love me, I go home.
Beautifully done. I am not Matt Cavallari, your president. Unfortunately, Matt had to fly home to the Midwest where his father was in a car accident, and his dad is doing okay in the hospital, but he needed to go and anchor his family. So Matt's not here, and I am, Reverend Karen Brammer, honored to stand in his place and just welcome you all here. Those for whom this has been a second home for a long time, welcome. Those for whom you're considering whether this is your home, welcome. And those for whom you're stepping in and observing, trying to figure out who this place is, who these people are, and whether this would be a good fit for you, welcome. Or if you're just visiting because you know you won't be here for very long, welcome. So we are here on the ancestral lands of the Mohawk and the Oneida people. We are a community of people who are committed to learning and then figuring out what it means to live in positive relationships with peoples who have been displaced, disrupted, disempowered over time. What is our right relationship? And so we are a learning community, and we welcome you into that because every new person, every person here adds to what we can know. So thank you. I'm grateful that you're here. And I am asking Jeff to make the announcements this morning.
I'm Jeff Chard. I am name tagless. I will fix that before the end of this service. And if anyone here is not on our newsletter list, and if we don't necessarily know who you are, if you want us to know more about you, there are information slips under the clock on that wall. Fill it out, and you'll receive prizes in the mail, all kinds of good things like that. Well, maybe not, but under the clock. There may be no coffee hour after next week. Only you can decide whether that's going to happen or not, because nobody has signed up past the 15th. So please, if you'd like to have coffee with everybody, sign up for the 22nd, 29th, and onward would be greatly appreciated. There will be a brief inclusion team meeting somewhere right around here. So get your refreshments and come on up here and have that brief meeting. There will be a longer kayaking trip on Saturday, September 21st, 10 a.m. Dave Jones is leading and coordinating that. It's on Forestport Mill Road, and you can get your equipment and your kayak from Dave. His email is in the newsletter. It's on this piece of paper if you need to ask me, and that's a week from Saturday. And now, without further ado, it's John Camilleri.
Good morning. As Jeff said, I'm John Camilleri. I'm the coordinator of Soul Matters Small Group Ministry. We have new groups starting in October. There's a brief description and my email address in the newsletter. We meet once a month, and there'll be one group on Zoom and one in person. So we'll have more information forthcoming the next few weeks. In the meantime, if you have any questions, feel free to see me. Thank you.
So I'm thinking that, right. As you can see, my brain needs a little more support today, so I'm going to be reading a little more than usual. Welcome, everybody. The intergenerational affirmation is something we do as a way to embody what we believe we are, and it is for all ages because anybody can do it who is wanting to do it. So if you would like to join us, this is a you, we are Unitarian, and this is a you, we are Unitarian and Universalist. We are the Church of the Open Mind. We're the church of the loving heart, and we're the church of the giving hands. We take care of the earth and each other. And I'm going to read from Mark Morrison Reed, who is an African-Canadian minister, Unitarian Universalist. Mark Morrison Reed is a person whose work is important to read. He helped us understand as a denomination how we were excluding historically people of color from the ministry. And so this is what Mark Morrison Reed has to say about the purpose and the task of the religious community. The central task of the religious community is to unveil the bonds that bind each to all. There's a connectedness, a relationship discovered among the particularities of our own lives and the lives of others. Once felt, it inspires us to act for justice. It is the church that assures us that we are not struggling for justice on our own, but as members of a larger community. The religious community is essential, for alone our vision is too narrow to see all that must be seen. And our strength is too limited alone to do all that must be done. Together, it's together that our vision widens and our strength is renewed. Mark Morrison Reed. And now I'm going to invite Bob forward to do our chalice lighting while I light the chalice.
Hi, I'm Bob Umidi. Even those of us who are new to Unitarian Universalism recognize that within this tradition there's a strong significance placed upon the importance of democracy and the democratic process. And I think all of us know that today there are new concerns about the health of the democratic process in our country. And so a number of people over the last few months from the congregation have been talking together about that and raising some concerns and asking what could we do to help clarify our thinking and perhaps then lay down some ideas and some principles for further action to strengthen democracy. And so there is a UUU Democracy Action Team, and we're developing some statements as a beginning. And the chalice lighting today will express one of the initial thoughts that comes from this group that is concerned for, I'm sure, all of us. The congregation of the Unitarian Universalist Church of Utica, New York, believes that a campaign of inclusion for America is a first step in mending our shared American tapestry. Where the social fabric that binds us has been torn by any injustice or indignity, we seek to acknowledge it and mend it by weaving fairness, justice, and respect for people of every identity into our mosaic.
If you would join by singing Come, Come, Whoever You Are, it is actually in the gray hymnal on page 188. And when you're ready, please rise in body or spirit or both and sing together.
So we're going to sing this hymn as a round, but first I'm going to go through it once just to make sure we remember how it goes, and then I've got some people to help us out with the different parts. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving, ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again come. All right, friends, so if you are in this sort of generalized section in front of me, you're part one, and you'll go ahead and start with me right at the beginning. If you are sort of in the middle section here, you are part 2, and you will start a little bit later where that little number 2 is with Betsy, so you can watch Betsy for your starting point. If you are all the way on the far side over there, you guys are part 3, and you are going to follow Letty and Chris, and you'll come in under that little number 3, and our goal is 3 parts, 3 times through. Everyone ready?
Be brave, you can do this, or you can hum.
Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, come, whoever you are, wanderer, worshiper, lover of leaving. Ours is no caravan of despair. Come, yet again, come. Come, yet again, come.
Letty, please.
Good morning, I'm Letty Umidi. I'm channeling my inner Stephanie right now. Green light. And today's time together is from the book by Andrea Patel. Our book today is On That Day, a book of hope for children. And I think we could all use hope, so let's just not limit it to the kids, okay? The world is blue. The world is green. The world is bright. The world is very big and really round and pretty peaceful. Sometimes bad things happen in nature, things like tornadoes or earthquakes or fires. But sometimes bad things happen because people act without thinking of others. Is there anything we can do to make the world right again? Yeah. Whether you're 3 years old, or 13 years old, or 30 years old, or 103 years old, you can help. You can help by sharing. You can help by playing and laughing. You can help by taking good care of the earth. You can help by being kind to people. When bad things happen, only a small piece of the world breaks, not the whole world. Goodness is in the world, and it's stronger than badness. There will always be good things in the world. You are one of those good things.
This is the UU Statement on Democracy. Human rights, which affirm the worth, dignity, and rights of all people from every background, must be the foundation on which we build by weaving fairness, justice, and respect for people of every identity into every part of our shared social fabric. Through this practice, we aspire to create beloved community both within UUU and our wider society.
Therefore, be it resolved, we celebrate pluralism by embracing diversity in all its forms, different ethnicities, cultures, religions, and sexual and gender identities that make up the fabric of American society, supporting policies that promote inclusion and assure that everyone's voice is heard and valued. This involves the rejection of any attempts to promote superior or preferred national religion, model for family structure, preferred ethnicity and immigration, etc. We call for an understanding of justice based not only on the value of equality, but also the consideration of equity, treating everyone justly according to the specific needs of each community, requiring different approaches and application. Both values are needed for justice to be truly fair and moral in each situation. This involves continued efforts to adjudicate past injustices by eliminating forms of systemic inequality and providing opportunities that help equalize differences and mend places in which the social fabric has been torn or woven together unevenly. We acknowledge the independent web of life and will act to limit the harmful consequences of climate change, especially climate catastrophes in, near, and long term that disproportionately impact the poor, disadvantaged, elderly, women, and children. Thank you.
So some may wonder, as I had to think before doing this service, why it is that democracy can be the heart of a worship service. Good to wonder about it. In the 20th century, our Unitarian Universalist liberal faith tradition wrote that democratic process directly into our most important principles. The idea and the structures of democracy live within the current rewriting of those principles into our central values upon which we will act. Why might that be? For one direction, I went to Vincent Harding. Some of you may remember that he was an African-American pastor, an historian, and a scholar. He was a close friend and colleague of the Dr. Martin Luther King as well, and in fact helped Martin Luther King develop the theory and the practice of nonviolence. And about democracy, he said, democracy is simply another way of speaking about the question of what it means to be human. What is our purpose in this world? And is that purpose related to our responsibilities to each other and the world itself? Unitarian Universalism, like all liberal religions, responds to whatever we learn in society, science, and art, which evolves our understanding of what our purpose in the world is. That is why we do not have etched creeds to which we all must agree. And a reminder here, liberal religion does not mean liberal politically. They are not the same. But liberal in that at all times our faith community is challenged to respond to all we learn to be true. Our beliefs and our commitments will evolve as we learn and grow, rooted in deep older truths and commitments, knowing that whatever we understand to be sacred will continue to reveal itself through life. This is part of our essential fiber as Unitarian Universalists. As Unitarian Universalists, we rely on democratic process in our own Unitarian Universal process. It allows as many voices as we can learn to include into the process because we know that no one person, no group of people, no one community of people has the full truth. We depend on a process that invites all the diverse voices to the table, all the ways of knowing truth. A powerful example of this that I think I've said before here because it was so profoundly important in my life is that when in the first congregation that I served in Saco, Maine, there was a sign that used to hang in front of that church in the 1800s. It was now in the attic. Our Unitarian Universalist denominations grew from the Puritan notion. It rejected the Puritan notion that humans were inherently bad and that God was a punishing God. Our early founders came to believe that then, therefore, it was inevitable that the human family would get better and better. So that sign said, onward and upward forever. And then World War I happened. Our faith was deeply troubled, terribly shaken, and had to grapple and evolve to integrate that terrible reality. The sign hides now. Just a reminder of what we had thought. And now we hold that paradox. We hold in our hearts and our minds the realities of violence in the world, and we carry a dream, a vision, and we promote the real efforts to move society towards equity and justice, towards a just peace, toward a positive relationship to the planet. We depend on a diversity of sources of truth, a diversity of people. If we do not invite that diversity, we build a very incomplete way of knowing and advocate for a lopsided society. Rather, we integrate what we learn rather than maintain beliefs that can't respond to the realities of the day, because we understand that our truth, any given time, is incomplete. It's just a fact that any understanding of truth is incomplete at any one moment. We hold some significant tensions. We become more comfortable, theoretically anyway, with paradox. We're kind of forced to in this faith. We have to listen to opposite realities. For instance, a tension between valuing the individual, as democracy has tended to do, and our commitment to the larger community. We know that neither liberal religion nor democracy are a given. Neither evolves inevitably into something better. Both are completely dependent on the participation of all who consider themselves part of the church, part of the larger society. Liberal religion, like the idea and the practice of democracy itself, bloomed 200 years ago at the same time in a period called modernity, and most historians call the time we're in right now as post-modernity, which is odd from my perspective to live in post-modernity, but that's what they're saying. One theologian helped me understand this. His book is called Faith Without Certainty. He's a Unitarian Universalist theologian. Doesn't it sound like a UU thing to say? To have faith without certainty. He says modernity gave us science, gave us technology, modern medicine, universal education, democracy, human rights, the middle class, religious freedom, and much else that we take for good. And it also led to or exacerbated militarism, nationalism, rampant capitalism, bureaucratization, conquest, colonialism, and at the extremes of rationalism gone mad, totalitarianism. He quotes Black historian, author, and activist Cornel West, who many of you know. The great paradox of Western modernity is that democracy flourished for Europeans, especially men of property, alongside the flowering of transatlantic slave trade and New World slavery. That's a lot to take in. This theologian, Paul Razor, continues, any real personal autonomy that happened as a result of modernity was so highly regarded by the modernists, was in truth available only to those with means. Our faith and our democracy bloomed from this extreme paradox. Each grew from the same modernity that created bold new world and extremes of domination, exclusion, and violence. Okay, that's where we came from. It is not where we're going. Because both democracy and liberal religion thrive only when as many of its members participate as possible. Our UU denomination has worked hard, especially in the past 40 years, to evolve our practices to become more inclusive. We, as Unitarian Universalists, honor the sustaining truths of our Unitarian and our Universalist ancestors, and we reach out beyond tradition and discover a richness and depth that grows our minds and our hearts. This process pushes us to hold paradox, those competing truths, and it helps us build beloved community. I know with all of my being that this UU process, which includes the democratic process, engaged with integrity, makes us, you, me, and our community more resilient and builds our skills as a force for good in the larger world, in the realities that we have today in our culture. This is because our faith and democracy, as Vincent Harding said, is simply another way of speaking about the question of what it means to be human. What is our purpose in this world, and is that purpose related to our responsibilities to each other and to the world itself? Democracy and liberal religion have never been perfect, and yet neither has reached beloved community, and certainly not a perfect union. But as always, and as a way to speak about and explore and organize society, there is yet tremendous potential in democracy and our liberal religious faith for the creativity and the brilliance of the individual heart and mind and the common good and the beloved community that we seek. Democracy has not been perfect, but it's a process that could bring every voice to the table. Beyond the intention to win, to enforce the will of some over the others, beyond that essential struggle, it holds the potential to understand one another, if we use it with intention. Admittedly, in the heat of the contest, this election period is a hard time to listen as much as rally and convince. As you're hearing from this Unitarian Universalist democracy ministry, building democracy before, during, and especially after the competition is essential. And again, from the interview with Vincent Harding, he says, I have increasingly thought that what we are really talking about is not how we can have more civil conversation. What we're talking about in the context of our society is how we can learn how to have a democratic conversation. That is what we need. We are absolutely amateurs at this matter of building a democratic nation made up of many, many people of many kinds, from many connections and convictions and many experiences. And you know, he continues, after all the pain we have caused one another, how to carry on democratic conversation that in a sense invites us to hear each other's best arguments and best contributions, so that we can then figure out how do we put these things together to create a more perfect union. As your minister, and just because of who I am, I hear this as our covenant, our agreements for how we intend to be with one another. These are not contractual, they're agreements of the spirit and the heart, held with intention and skill that grows with experience. Liberal religion and democracy are not only structures, they're practices, ongoing experiments designed to keep learning and improving. We have and will continue to go through difficult, even horrible times. And we hold the paradox of what is and the growing vision of what we promise to help develop in the world. It is in our collective Unitarian Universalist consciousness now, doing the sometimes confusing and often painful work of building beloved community and a more perfect union, is who we are. Dr. Harding again, democracy is simply another way of speaking about the question of what it means to be human. What is our purpose in this world? And is that purpose related to our responsibilities to each other and to the world itself? With gratitude for all of our teachers and mentors in the world, may it be so. If you would turn to page 300, this is a hymn that harks back hundreds of years in its tune, its cadence. You'll recognize it from churches from long ago. It's called With Heart and Mind. When you're ready, please rise as you're able in body or spirit, both, and join in singing.
With heart and mind and voice and hand, may we this time and place transcend to make our purpose understood. A mortal search for mortal good, a firm commitment to the goal of justice, freedom, peace for all. A mind that's free to seek the truth, a mind that's free in age and youth, to choose a path no threat impedes, wherever light of conscience leads. A martyr's night so we could be a church where every mind is free. A heart that's kind, a heart who search, makes love the spirit of our church, where we can grow and each one's gift is sanctified and spirits lift, where every door is open wide for all who choose to step inside.
Please be seated. If you would take a breath, feel your feet on the floor, be aware of how you are, see if you can tend to places in yourself that may be stressed. Hear the sounds of joyful children. Celebrate that beauty and come back to yourself. This is a hard world to live with, and it's an extraordinarily beautiful world to live in. Breathe in the truth of all of that, the truth of such complex opposites. and breathe out the acceptance that is ours, that we are human in the midst of this. And with gratitude, acknowledging to yourself the places where you find your source, where you find your resilience, where you find love again. In whatever way you find that space in yourself again, honor that. Name that if it has a name. Hold it in your heart, whether it has a name or not, but know that we are so blessed to have the possibility of a safe place, to be with one another in a tradition that claims every one of us as owning a part of the truth. Every one of us. We are so honored to be among one another. And in this time, it is ours to be present in whatever gifted way we have to one another, to those we care about, to what we feel passionate for, with gratitude in our hearts, and yes, even hope, knowing that we are not alone. May we say a final thank you, and blessed be. Amen. This portion of the service really is about gratitude. It is amazing that we are a group of people who understand that we're part of something that we can be grateful for, and that is different in how it holds us as individual people and as a community. And so we want this place to thrive into the future, now and into the future. And so right now is our time when we collect this morning's offering. I'm guessing they won't mind if you sway or dance.
Has come, and the land is dark, and the moon is the only light we'll see. I won't be afraid, no, I won't be afraid, just as long as you stand by me. So darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by me. Darling, darling, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Oh, stand by me. Stand by
Whew. Do you all know that this is ASL for clapping? Since one can't hear clapping, this is ASL for clapping. Thank you so much. And I apologize for interrupting. Outbursts. And so, thank you. Thank you, thank you. We carry a vision. We're responsible for that vision. We contribute to it, every one of us. We hold that vision and we contribute to that vision to make it real now and in the future. I'm going to invite Ken up to talk a bit more about who we can give and how we can give.
Good morning. The reading that I have is a short reading from the 2019 UUA Statement of Conscience entitled Our Democracy Uncorrupted. You can find this online at the UUA, and I recommend you take some time to read through it. Achieving the ideals of our faith related to democracy requires new approaches for mobilizing power and influence. This means engaging in radical truth-telling, intersectional organizing, and naming the forces that resist democratic reforms. A truly inclusive democracy challenges the exploitation of peoples and natural resources by corporate and political power. Our collective future calls us to participate in what Unitarian theologian Reverend James Luther Adams named the prophethood of all believers. The document goes on to talk about what individuals, what congregations and covenanted communities, and what clusters, districts, and state legislatures can do in these ministries to further democratic processes. I'm going to focus on just individuals for a moment. And one of the recommendations they make or give us is support electoral justice campaigns led by community organizers of color with voter registration, particularly among underrepresented populations. We have in this congregation individuals who are working on a very partisan level to support candidates in this upcoming presidential election. But there's also nonpartisan groups that are working to increase voter participation and to engage people in these underrepresented communities. Carol White and I have been emailing back and forth. Carol is head of one of the heads of the League of Women Voters in the Roman Utica area. And I've been working with her as to get some ideas as to what we can do if you're not inclined to be partisan or just want to help with voter registration in a general sense. And tomorrow evening, there are some of us here who are members of the NAACP will be attending their first meeting of the year, the business year, tomorrow evening, and we'll be discussing what Adam Woodman, the Civic Engagement Chair, is doing to get people in his community more engaged. Please, if you aren't doing so already, spend time to go through the newsletter each week. There's some information in there, particularly that pertains to our three teams, the climate action, the racial justice team, our justice statements, and also the inclusion team. So that's one way to keep in focus. But in a general sense, there's so much information in there, and there'll be other suggestions and ideas that people can follow to get engaged. So essentially what I'm looking for in the members of the Democracy Action Group here is to get more of you involved somehow, in some way, even if it's writing postcards or standing out in the corner with a sign, vote. Just, we all have to be in this together, or you know, we're going to fail in our efforts to promote a democratic, more democratic union. Thank you.
Benediction. Some of you like to read along, if you would like. It's in the gray hymnal in the back. Robert Mabry Doss, number 700. For all who see God, may God go with you. For all who embrace life, may life return your affection. For all who seek a right path, may a way be found, and the courage to take it step by step. May it be so. Please read the statement of closing as I extinguish our chalice. We extinguish this flame.
Traveling at night, the headlights were bright, and we'd been up many an hour. All through my brain came the refrain of home and its warm and fires. And home sings me of sweet things. My life there has its own wings. Fly over the mountain. Oh, I'm standing still. People I've seen, they come in between the cities, the tiring life, and the trains come and go, and inside, you know, the struggle will soon be a fight. And home sings me of sweet things. My life there has its own wings. Fly over the mountain. Though I'm standing still. Traveling at night, the headlights are bright, and soon the sun came through the trees. Round the next bend, the flowers will send a sweet smell of home through the trees.